Thank you, Professor Ross. My next question is about the major news media in the US and Europe. I read your books before. I know you have a very in-depth and insightful understanding of Chinese economy. But however, the major news media in the US and Europe always provided biased and misleading coverage on many issues about China. Could you give any advice on what China should do so that the Western countries could understand China from a more unbiased and a more correct perspective? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is to concentrate on the financial media, because you have there is a difference between propaganda, which is the political journals, and the situation of companies and business people. Because if companies and business people make mistakes, they will lose very large sums of money. I mean, for many years, I made my money, my income, by advising companies. This was despite the fact that it was well known that I was an admirer of China's economic policy. I was an opponent in Russia, where I was living from 1992 to 2000, of the policies of the Yeltsin government. But despite this fact, which went totally against the line of the mainline media, but nevertheless companies paid me. Why? Because they had to have accurate information. Whereas the political media, things like the Times in Britain or the New York Times in New York, can make purely propaganda, people investing money can't afford to take the wrong decisions. So my priority would be concentrating on the financial media. This could be done rather easily, in my opinion, because China is one of the biggest economic stories in the world. So therefore, they have to. For example, let's take for example Bloomberg. Bloomberg is one of the most influential sites in the West. I would say, as every trader in the financial services has a Bloomberg terminal on their desk. They are absolutely vital. They have a 24-hour news cycle. It all starts in Asia because of the times, because China and Asia start earlier in the day. And I think it would be very much better idea for China to be putting important news stories into these type of financial media. That would be my view of the situation, because if you are making wrong political decision, you lose a fortune. Let me give you an example. I was involved in, when I was living in Russia, in a dispute, a privatization of a mobile phone company called Svyazhinvest. One of the group's investors employed me to make an analysis of Svyazhinvest. My conclusion was that it was a terrible investment, and nobody should bid anything for it at all. It would be a big disaster. That was what I wrote up. I was paid to do that. George Soros, one of the world's most important investors, was advised by other companies in the West to bid for Svyazhinvest, basically because the people he supported were pro-Western. He lost $1 billion as a result of this investment. He writes openly, this was the worst investment he made in his entire life. If you follow propaganda, you lose large sums of money. So if I was China, I would concentrate very much on the financial media. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Right, okay.
It's not COVID-19.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your very insightful response. Thank you very much.
That's okay.